Hello and welcome to another episode of God-Sized Stories. We're very blessed. We have Will with us today. Will, tell us about yourself.
Hey, thanks for having me. Yeah, my name is Will Fitzpatrick. I'm a longtime Christian most of my life. I'm also a longtime gamer. Been playing it since I was 9 years old. And I use this as a tool for ministry to reach out to people locally here in the area and also online. So that's pretty much what I do.
Awesome. I'm super excited to have you on today, Will, as we've been continuing this series of God-Sized Hobbies.
Mhm.
And as you kind of introed a little bit, you're a man of great hobbies. And I love discussing hobbies. Before we even started recording, we had a good long even intro to this. But what is your hobby that we're going to discuss today?
Sure. I play role playing games. Role playing games is a big part of my life. And for those who don't know what role playing games are, RPGs, they are basically stories that a group of people come together to share. And as they talk about what they're going to do for their characters, they roll dice. And the dice determine whether or not they succeed in certain actions. And they usually have a storyteller, also known as a game master or storyteller. They go by different titles. These people will narrate the story and tell how their actions, the player's actions, will dictate, what comes next in the storyline. So people have a lot of fun, a lot of creativity is involved, and that's pretty much it in a nutshell. You could spend probably a good 2, maybe 4 hours per session. Some of these games can last one time only. They can last up to a year, a couple months, even multiple years. I've had a campaign that was almost 20 years long. So it all depends on people's time availability and really their interests, in the game itself. It's not for everybody. My wife is one of those people that has no intention of playing any of this stuff, but I still love her anyway. And we just have a great time when we play.
Awesome. So, what got you into this hobby of role playing games?
What got me into it? I was born and raised in Charleston, South Carolina. And when I was young, back in the early 80s, we kids would get out and we'll have fun and do things. But, it's very, very limited. There were no cell phones, there was no internet, and there's only so many things you could do. And because the environment is very, very hot and humid, it's basically a swamp in the area. You come up with other things. And one of the things that was introduced back in 1974 was D&D by Gary Gygax. Right up here by Lake Geneva is where his headquarters was and where it all started. So because of that, my friends, got together indoors under air conditioning, started playing D&D. I also had a really big love for King Arthur at the time, the Arthurian legends. And this gave me a good opportunity to express myself with the Arthurian legends. I really enjoyed that. I had a character named King Pellinor. King Pellinor in the Arthurian legend is an actual character that I think he was an uncle to Arthur, but his character was specifically their family committed a grievous sin, right? And this sin manifested into a physical form called the questing beast. And so their family was forever on the lookout, on the quest for the questing beast. This was their burden to bear. And it makes a very, very powerful, at least for me as a Christian, symbolism, because the beast embodies everything that is sin. And we always seek out to try to get rid of the sin as Christians. And that from the Arthurian legends is very, very personal to me. So that was my very first character, King Pellinor, who's a paladin in, AD&D. So yeah, it kind of expanded from there. And we got into Dungeons and Dragons. We got into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because role-playing games isn't just about, Dungeons and Dragons are all fantasy. So if you remember the old cartoon Robotech, so they had Robotech.
Yes.
There, they had quite a few other games.
Cool.
All these other great, wonderful games: Twilight 2000, Shadowrun, Cyberpunk. So these are all the types of different genres that I played throughout the ages for the last basically 40 years of my life. because I'm going to turn 50 here shortly next month, or sorry, in January.
Woo.
So yeah, it's yeah. If I could show you all my old books, I would, but it's right now they're kind of all packed up because we're kind of in the middle of moving things around. So yeah, it was a lot of good things and a lot of great memories. And it doesn't always have to be D&D for anybody to play, and that's kind of how I got.
Awesome. So how does God provide you rest through RPGs?
That's a great question. God provides rest for me through RPGs because I have a busy life. I do uh, facility maintenance. I'm an operator, so I deal 12-hour shifts, and it's 24-hour operations. We get stuck doing 16-hour shifts. It's a lot of physical, a lot of mental things, stress to go with it. Don't get me wrong, I love the job. However, when I have an opportunity to sit down and play role-playing games, especially with other Christians, it's a whole different atmosphere. Everyone's relaxed, everyone's having a good time, and there's a lot of fellowship. And I know that we can, get together and do stuff that is on par with what God, intends to have or for us to have. So I get a lot of
Hmm.
rejuvenation being around other Christians like that. There's a group of guys right now that I play with online. He has a YouTube video called For the Lord RPG. In fact, I'm wearing a shirt right here for the Lord RPG. So you can always check it out. So I'm currently one of the guys who plays on Thursday nights, but at the moment I haven't been because me and a bunch of other people have been, well, life takes hold of most games. And so we haven't had a chance to really get together and play recently. But for the Lord RPG, it's a really great game. It's a game that was created by Christians for Christians. It gives us the opportunity to go and make churches and to witness people. That's the whole premise of the game itself. And we have like 3 different genres we can do it. We can do it back in the Dark Ages is one of them. The other one is like a post-apocalyptic setting. And then another one is what they call Christians in Space. And I play Christians in Space, and it's really hilarious. We get out there and we witness to people, and there's like a vast empire that doesn't like it, and they're kind of after us. And we continue to grow Christ through people in the game, as well as gives us an opportunity to witness. And that's one of the biggest things is that we as Christians don't have opportunities really to witness or practice witnessing to people. So the neat thing about our role-playing games is that you get to act it out. So the DM has a non-Christian person, NPC, non-player character, and you as a Christian gets to witness to that non-player character, and you get to practice how to witness to people. It's a safe
That's
environment.
cool.
It's an awesome way to do it. At least I believe it's an awesome way to do it. I just wish that more Christians would be able to look at it and take advantage of it. So
Yeah.
if you're not sure, you want to get into a good godly game, check it out. It's for the Lord RPG.com. You can go to Storytelling Ron, it's the guy who made it. And it's there. Just Google it. You'll see it. It'll pop up. He did quite a few Kickstarters. So yeah, that's some of the things that I do for rest and why it helps me rest. It's the fellowship. It's the getting together with the
Yeah.
guys and just be at peace. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. And I'm glad because you kind of touched on the next question a little bit too of like, how do you grow through your hobby? Like, you definitely touched on that opportunity that you can really have to hone your skills of evangelizing and sharing your faith with people by just doing like that sounds awesome because I'm always all about that. That's a huge part of my life is sharing my faith. Are there any other ways that you find opportunities to grow, either personally or spiritually, through doing this?
Yeah. It gives me a chance to challenge other people and their thought processes. If I'm the game master and I'm, running the game, and I don't do it like in a negative way, because I try not to. And the games that I make, I usually try to make scripture, involved in them now. Before in the past, I really didn't. However, it was more like the Arthurian, that there was a lot of morals, good morals to have in any fantasy game. And it's usually kind of what you want to do is to have some type of moral dilemma and have the players overcome those challenges and do the right thing. So by doing that and then adding scripture to it and giving people opportunities to witness, to grow in leadership, because that's one of the things that role playing games does do is it gives people a chance for empathy, for leadership. But as far as Christians wise, it's I treat it very much like a small group. I try to grow the relationships afterwards, talk to people about, how they're doing in their life, what can I be praying for them about,
Mm.
because I do genuinely care about these people and their well-being, and when it's all said and done, I like to see them in heaven, right? That's the whole point. Love our neighbor,
Yep.
right? Get out there, spread the message. It's the GC square, right? The Great Commission, the Great Commandment. So those are the things that I try to incorporate when I do
Mm.
role play games. And I mean, is it hit or miss every time? Yeah, I mean, no one's perfect, but we're trying and
Yes.
uses those opportunities. I wholeheartedly believe that. So, where I think it might be a miss, could be affecting somebody else in the game or another player. Heck, I mean, I played role playing games in public, at least I tried to, where other people get to hear the message, or hear the,
Sure.
and that makes a difference too, because you never know who's listening. And especially if you're having a good time, people always stop to listen to see, and they'll come up to the tables and they'll start asking. And that gives us opportunities to talk to people and to witness to them as well, to establish new connections with people.
So to wrap it up at the end, once again, this is one thing that's been beautifully weaved through this whole conversation. But and I because this, especially with this hobby, there's such great opportunities for fellowship and for outreach. Like you kind of touched on a few of them already. What other great opportunities have you had? I know one that I've as well had with you, and we talked about earlier. Whenever we have men's retreats, you often lead men on a wonderful adventure. What other, or either expound on that or other opportunities you've had?
So I try to get out and play in local game stores. So always support your local game store. If you're new to the hobby, find your local gaming store and help support them. If you need to buy any supplies, go through them. And when I get there and I'll play, not necessarily recently, because I'm doing a lot of online and because of COVID recently, with it being over, I've started playing at other people's houses. They open up the doors. So I'm actually in
Mm.
people's houses now playing. So get out there. You can, play. You can start there. If you're a student, you can always start a club at your school. And that was another way that my friends and I, growing up, we had our own D&D club in our school, and that was really big. That was a good, excellent thing for us. But we got to be respectful, while you're in school. They don't like dice. For some reason, they had this whole thing about gambling. So therefore, so we found other ways around it. There's always other ways around it. So, but if you were to do that, be respectful. I had a lot of great adventures during lunchtime playing D&D with my friends. And there's online. So if you have a chance to actually go online, you get a bigger reach, especially if you're entertaining. You can do a lot of voices. Not to say you have to. Everyone has different styles. But if you get a good group and you start telling a good story and you do something like this and record it, and then you put it out there for everyone to see, there's always a chance that you're going to get a bigger reach. So that's kind of one of the things we're doing with For the Lord RPG is we're trying to get a bigger reach out there for witnessing to people.
Mm.
And we're also trying to bridge those gaps where even now you still have people viewing D&D as a very, very negative thing. And they always pull out Deuteronomy, 18, maybe 20, 21, somewhere around there. Those like 4 chapters are kind of like the do's and don'ts of staying away from the world, and the Christian thing. And I'll guarantee you that out of the
Right.
40 something years, I've never cast a real spell. I've never conjured anything. It just the thing I've ever done is capture the imagination of people and got out there and just had a fun time. So yeah, there's quite a few things. In fact, for the future, I'm looking to start my own business online. At first, I want to do a paid DMing for called Journey Games. So journeygames.games, I think is the website. I'm process of getting all that stuff together. I want to be able to teach people how to play. And so I will do consulting. I will do one shots for people. I will do mini campaigns. The most I'll do like a 12 session or 12-month session for people who want to commit. Once I figure out how to do it all online, capture all this stuff, and I'll post it, try to get it out there.
Mm.
But in the future, this is kind of what I want to do, to grow the ministry, to grow this. And I think it's viable. I think there's enough people in the world and there's enough interest for the people who are in
Yeah.
games that it's a very, very self-sustaining way of doing stuff. Now, am I going to be like Elon Musk, right? No, 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 no. I'm not going to make all that kind of money. Space Daddy is Space Daddy, and he's going to do what he's going to do. So, but for me, once I retire, it's a nice little hobby business
Hmm.
that I can help, take money and reinvest it into people and into God, and kind of go from there. And that's kind of where I want to take it. So hopefully, please be praying about it, and
Yeah.
how it goes. So yeah, that's kind of my outreach, and how
Yeah.
opportunities in the past, present, and future. Um,
Amen.
yeah.
Well, Will, thank you so much for I've learned a lot from you over the years of knowing you and had the opportunity to do a couple one shots and stuff with you because I do very much enjoy it, and in the right with the right group of people, man, I don't know that I've laughed harder in my life
Oh, sure.
than playing with the perfect group in a setting like that, and just gosh, the fellowship that is had in those moments is
Hmm.
so beautiful. As you said, even with people outside the faith, you can build these such beautiful, great, deep relationships with someone, and I love it. So I'm very thankful that there's people like you out there that are willing
Yep.
to willing
Yeah.
to put in the effort to care for people in that way and also have a great time while doing it, obviously.
It's my pleasure. I love doing it, and I love having you at the table. So definitely, if there's more opportunities for me to to do stuff for the church, and heck, maybe we'll just do an actual one shot for everybody. You and I, we can get a couple people, and kind of do this setup, and we can do a game, if we want to, and just have a nice little
Yeah.
thing about it. So it's all good.
Well, Will, thank you once again for sharing your passion with us, sharing your life with us, and being just a light in a community that needs you. Thank you for putting in so much research because obviously doing what you do, it takes a lot. Like, you can't just pick up a thing and be like, here we go. Well, you could, but to have the experience of doing it and keep things on rails is
Yeah. Sometimes
awesome.
it's
So
like
thank you
parting
for all
your
that.
heads. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, when you get a lot of people at the table,
Yeah.
they're all very strong personalities. It's very, very hard to kind of rope them all together, especially nowadays when people are so tempted to just look at their phones, and while they're sitting at the table. If
Yep.
I can capture everyone's imagination and keep their attention just for 2 hours out of the four, I consider that a win. So yeah, thank you. It is a very craft art skill, storytelling. It's a form of story.
Mhm.
Some people say that's debatable, but yeah, that's
I
a whole nother
disagree. It is
story.
not the
Yeah, so, but thanks, Greg, for having me on.
Absolutely. And audience, thank you so much as always for listening. I couldn't do this without you. Goodbye.